All right, welcome to the show. It's Ringside Report. I'm Dave. Freddie is here. AJ's here.
Woo-hoo.
We are on YouTube, youtube.com/ringsidereport.net. Check out the channel, like the channel, subscribe to the channel. We're on TSN 690 on Friday nights as well. You can listen to the podcast version of this show at ringsidereport.net. We're everywhere. Everywhere. We were at Park Safari this weekend. We had Ringside Report Family Day. We were all there. I was there. Fred was there. AJ was there with our families. We had a good time at Park Safari. What other show is getting together on the weekend to go to Park Safari together?
It's Freddie's idea. It's Freddie's idea.
It was Freddie's idea.
Freddie's Family Day.
Like, we should start a tournament, go like, who would win between a camel and, let's say, I don't know.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure, like, the hippos and the lions, you know, they're pretty much, like, at the top of the food chain. But we need to do some type of tournament.
Of course, this is an MMA program. And, not only are we good friends, but we also talk about MMA. We're all martial artists here on the show. And AJ even just such a part of the martial arts community. As we're getting ready for the show, seeing people outside, waving them down.
Shout out to James.
Other members of the MMA and martial arts and jiu-jitsu community here. And we have a lot of MMA to get to over the next hour. We're going to preview UFC Minneapolis. Junior Dos Santos taking on Francis Ngannou on Saturday night in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Yeah, if that's not a heavyweight fight you can get behind.
Don't blink.
Know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you guys are watching, but that is a monster fight on Saturday night. Junior Dos Santos and Francis Ngannou, two of the heaviest hitters, the most vicious knockout artists that the UFC has ever seen. Dos Santos, the former UFC heavyweight champion, Francis Ngannou, a former title challenger, two guys that are still very dangerous, two of the top, I'd say, 5 heavyweights in the world today.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a big-time fight with title implications. Saturday night. This is the kind of UFC fight I can get behind, and we're going to be talking about that card, not only the main event, but also the co-main event and stuff. It's a solid card in Minneapolis, Minnesota, which is a solid fight town. A lot of wrestlers in Minnesota.
Does
of course,
Brock
the
come
great
from there?
Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
He went to the University of Minnesota. I think he's from like North Dakota.
But I think he was wrestling as a kid there or something like that. I'm sure he's from there.
Yeah, he's kind of.
As Dave just said, he went to the University
No, I'm
of
talking like
Minnesota.
when he was like
He
young.
was a golden gopher at the University of Minnesota. I know I'm starting to sound like Jim Ross right now, but that's what he was.
You're calling Brock a gopher?
A golden gopher.
Okay, excuse me.
All right. I want my son to grow up and one day become a golden gopher like Brock Lesnar and Shelton Benjamin. That's the path. But you got Jussier Formiga taking on Joseph Benavidez in the co-main event. Damian Maia's on this card. Speaking of jiu-jitsu, right? He takes on Anthony Rocco Martin, who has looked pretty good, winning 4 straight, including a win over the very tough Serginho in his last outing to the UFC. So we're going to talk about UFC Minneapolis over the next hour. We're also going to talk about Jose Aldo and his new 8-fight contract with the UFC. Who do you guys want to see Aldo fight next? Aldo getting the money. Colby Covington is going to be fighting Robbie Lawler, UFC Newark, on August the 3rd. We all thought Colby Covington was maybe going to get the next shot at Kamaru Usman for the UFC welterweight title. So we'll try and figure out who's going to get that shot instead. BJ Penn got into a drunken fight in Hawaii outside of a strip club.
Why?
The legend continues to embarrass himself. Dana White wants John Jones' 1 loss overturned, and he's trying to get that done. And I think we should get a loss overturned for Charles Jourdain.
Yes.
And we'll talk about that as well. A Quebec fighter, Charles Jourdain. Fred may not be in agreement here.
Why, Freddie?
And big news for MMA in Europe. France, UFC Paris, very likely in 2020 because France has legalized the sport of mixed martial arts, and it will come into effect January 1st, 2020.
Way to go. Vive la France.
That's right.
When that happens, Dave, you got to get back up and start singing the anthem like you did one time on our show.
Aux armes citoyens, formez vos bataillon. Maybe when MMA is legalized in France, I'll do the whole version. All right.
So tell me, why should the Jourdain fight be overturned?
we're already
Do you
getting
want to
there?
get to that now?
Well, because I'm wondering.
I want to talk about Artem and Paulie, but if you wanted to talk about Jourdain, I mean, Artem and Paulie, we talked about it last week, the bare knuckle fight that happened, and AJ
was right.
AJ was right. Well, I guess we'll wait on AJ being right.
You picked Paulie.
Did he?
No, I didn't.
Yes, his final pick was Paulie. He's lying right now. Last week he picked Paulie with us. He is lying.
Remember what I said?
Go watch the show.
No, not at all. I want to tell you something.
Yeah.
Remember what I said? I was right about two things. One, Paulie was going to lose. And two, he was going to break his hands. And that's the thing with this guy. It was a very interesting fight. Are you trying to bring up the recording?
What? No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Because you guys are known for that.
There are some technical things going around here.
What's
Don't
happening?
worry about it.
Okay.
I know for weeks you said Artem would win.
Yeah.
But last week you backed out of that and
Are
you picked
kidding?
Paulie with us.
Never.
Yeah, you did. You did, AJ. It's true. Fred's right.
Never. I would not go with Paulie. Why? Because
Edging
I knew that
his
he had.
bets.
Yeah, right. Look, it was a very interesting fight. I knew as soon as he threw that punch and it hit Artem's head, his hand was gone. I mean, he has brittle hands.
You didn't know.
I called that weeks ago. I said that he's gonna break both his hands.
It's okay.
He broke one, but
AJ,
it was close enough.
It's something that you said. It doesn't mean that you predicted it.
I predicted it, man. Like Jojo Savard.
I could say
coming down on a Saturday night.
I could predict a million things to happen.
What?
And if one of them happens, I'm not going to say, I told you.
But I got a better question. Who did you steal that idea from? Because you didn't watch any Paulie fights.
Back
who did you get that from that he would break his hands?
Look, Paulie, like in his career, there's one thing with him in boxing. He has a good record in boxing, but his biggest drawback, even he said it himself, he does have small, soft hands. They used to call him brittle hands, but he managed to fight with not the best hands, which is okay when you have a 12 or 14 ounce glove. But the difference is that there were bare knuckles.
Right.
And Artem has a head like a rock, and that's what happened. It was unfortunate.
Okay.
But it was a good fight. It was exciting. I was hyped. I was hyped
I
for bare
liked
knuckles.
it.
It was
I
a
liked
decent
it.
fight, but it wasn't the best fight of the night.
No.
Like that night had some much better fights. The best moment was the interview after, where Paulie was super sour about the whole decision, saying that basically he wouldn't come back. He's basically going home with his ball and not playing anymore.
Well, why would he go back? It was a one-time deal. He fought Artem Lobov in kind of a freak show. I mean, we can enjoy it as much as we want, and we could say, hey, it's bare-knuckle boxing. It's kind of fun, and there are some legitimate athletes involved in it, but let's not kid ourselves and say it's not a freak show. It's kind of a weirdo quasi-combat sport right now, right?
But it was exciting,
and
Dave.
It
Let's
was.
be honest.
Look, I'm not going to say it wasn't
Look, he
exciting.
did it once, but if he would have won, his reaction would have been different, probably. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying, like, he looked like very sour from the decision that he thought he had won.
He did, yeah. He did think he won the fight on the scorecard.
And he gave me the impression, basically,
my God.
of saying, like, no, I won't do it again because it didn't go my way. So I just did.
Yeah,
I found
I
his
don't know.
interview a little weird.
I thought Artem won the fight. Artem winds up winning a decision. I agreed with that. I didn't really disagree with how the fight ended.
Have you seen Paulie's hands on Instagram? He brought out some pictures. I mean, his hands are like swollen like someone's head.
It wasn't a great fight, though. It wasn't super entertaining. It was kind of all right. And,
it was different.
It was what it was.
Remember what I was telling you? The difference with this is the bare knuckles was the clinch, where they're able to grab the back of the neck, and that's where Paulie was off his game. It wasn't a boxing game, but Paulie was really doing well as boxing style goes. I mean, he was dipping and diving and everything else in between, but the clinch is what cost him. He was getting these uppercuts, and then he was throwing a few, and like that bare knuckle wasn't Paulie's game. I mean, he's retiring.
Well,
that's for sure.
That's it. He's an older boxing champion who's no longer in his prime.
38 and 6.
He retired. He should have stayed retired. He didn't look like he was in great shape fighting Artem. He didn't look great, and he lost to Artem Lobov, who isn't as technical or clean a striker as he is. But hey, Artem's done this bare knuckle thing before. He's used to fighting with smaller gloves in MMA. I thought it was gonna go the other way. I thought Paulie was gonna pick Artem apart, really, because of his superior skill in boxing, but this bare knuckle boxing thing I'd never really watched before. And after seeing it, it's like it's not really boxing. It's totally different.
It's a street fight.
Yeah.
Minus knees and elbows and grappling.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean,
it's
the
weird
clinch
to
is
me
there.
too when they like hit a guy and he falls down and then they don't punch him again. Like, to me, I'm so used to watching MMA that when a guy went down, well, I figured the guys were just going to keep hitting him, but they didn't. They let them stand up for whatever count.
But you could see Artem,
like
you could see his instinct was to go on. You could see
it
him
looked
a few
like
times
he was trying to pounce on him a bit.
Yeah, it's funny, but
well,
look,
it's
it
MMA,
was,
man.
Look, it was exciting. I mean, not everybody would appreciate it, like watching that. If you're really not into like, combat sport, this is the one.
It was
to
a
watch.
decent free.
I
show.
think what we really gained from this whole fight is now people will stop with the Conor McGregor, Paulie Malignaggi nonsense. Like, now people are going to say, okay, there's no point in seeing Conor fight Paulie Malignaggi. He can't even beat Artem. There's no way he beats Conor.
That's his under.
He's his underboss. You know,
underboss.
Conor's the boss. Artem's the underboss. If you don't beat the underboss, you don't get to beat the big boss. So
it's not proper time, and he's not going to meet.
It's not time for Conor McGregor. So we can at least stop all that talk, which was nonsense. We still can't stop the Floyd Mayweather, Conor McGregor talk because I know AJ will just keep going.
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you brought that up.
No, let's not. No, I'm not bringing it up.
Listen to this.
No,
listen
I'm
to this.
not.
Did you
Sorry,
hear?
Fred.
Listen,
I didn't mean to bring that up.
That's okay, Freddie. But you know how I feel. I wanted to see the Paulie and McGregor boxing match. I actually wanted to see that.
Yeah, and now you know how foolish of an idea that is.
No, it might still happen. You never know.
Did you not hear what I just said? I just said
boxing is different than bare knuckles.
Not in bare knuckles. In boxing.
Oh boy, guys, come on,
but
Fred. Why are you egging him on?
Thank you, Fred.
This is ridiculous.
I'm just saying.
No one wants to see Paulie Malignaggi box Conor McGregor.
I don't want to see Conor box.
I just finished saying that, and you agreed with me, and now you're turning around
in the
saying,
bare knuckles. In the boxing, I agree with Fred on this. I'd like to see that in a boxing ring because it'll be a different game. Because Paulie looked good.
Okay,
boxing-wise.
I don't want to see Conor box at all. I'm just saying in a boxing ring, I think Paulie has a better chance than, let's say, bare knuckles.
Yeah, absolutely.
But in the end, please, Conor, do MMA. Let's put boxing behind us and let's put this subject behind us.
Yes.
Like, we don't need to give that much time.
This is what should happen.
Knuckle.
This is what should happen. Paulie should retire from fighting. Conor should go to the UFC and fight somebody, and Artem should stay in bare knuckle boxing.
Yeah,
seems about right.
It sounds almost right. Yeah, I can agree with that.
Okay.
To some extent.
Okay. So that happened last Saturday night.
No, I was gonna say Ben Askren. That was like really like.
Why are you just saying Ben Askren?
Because he blasted like Artem on this whole fight. He was saying that he was like he's a nobody, and I don't know if he was trying to egg him on or something to get a fight with him. It was just a weird week.
I don't think Ben Askren wants to fight Artem Lobov. It doesn't benefit Ben Askren. Ben Askren is a fight away from a UFC title shot.
Trash talks everybody.
Yeah, I guess it was just.
That's just what he does on Twitter, and you're just falling for it again.
No, but you know what? It's interesting that other guys from the other side of other sports such as MMA are following bare knuckles like everyone else.
Well, it was a free show.
This is an MMA show, and we're talking about it. Everybody in MMA was watching that bare knuckle fighting on Saturday night because, why not? It was fun. It was the big
DC kind
fight.
of asked for an illegal stream. He didn't ask it word for word. But
you're talking about UFC heavyweight champion Daniel Cormier asking for an illegal
that's usually
stream?
Brendan
Well,
Schaub
the way he
that.
asked it, basically, people were replying to him a bunch of links to see the fights.
But Brendan Schaub got busted for that as well. You remember that?
He didn't get busted.
Well, he kind of got like,
He got a
careful how you put it.
Yeah, this is what happened. Brendan Schaub
Reddit is not happy. I'll tell you that
asked
much.
for. AJ, you're confused about Reddit, what Reddit is anyways. You don't really understand Reddit to begin with.
Well, I'm starting to get to know it a little bit better.
Okay. So, Brendan Schaub...
I read it.
Brendan Schaub asked for a stream, I guess, online, or got an illegal stream for some UFC fight, and then he went on his podcast or whatever and said, hey, I got an illegal stream and it was really good because I was trying to buy the UFC pay-per-view, but it wasn't working.
He's
so
right.
I got an illegal stream and it was really great quality and Reddit really knows what they're doing, right? And I think he may have mentioned a subreddit by name. And what a subreddit is, for those that don't know, like AJ.
Say what?
It's like Reddit has different subsections for many different topics, and I think one of the subsections of Reddit was like MMA streams, where you could go find a stream for whatever MMA fight that was going on at the time, and that subreddit got shut down. But if you're good at Reddit, you could figure out that other subreddits just keep popping up. It's the internet. It's relentless. You cannot stop it. Okay?
Long live the internet.
Internet forever. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ringsidereport.net. We are relentless.
Take that, Dana.
That's right. We're everywhere. We're after big WWE pay-per-views, big AEW shows. There's a big AEW show on Saturday night.
Oh, I thought A&W.
Is it a big show?
Oh, yeah.
Like it's a pay-per-view or?
It's free.
It's free.
It's free, and it's going to be awesome. Check out Dave and Johnny live this week on the YouTube channel, a YouTube exclusive show, myself and Johnny North, and we will be talking about Fighter Fest going down this Saturday. And as cool as Junior Dos Santos and Francis Ngannou is, man, Fighter Fest is a tremendous card. And right now, AEW, you want to watch everything that AEW is doing. I mean, this is their second event ever. You want to see it. Joey Janela and John Moxley in a non-sanctioned match. Watch that. You'll enjoy it. AJ, you want to come over Saturday for Fighter Fest? Kenny Omega, Matt Jackson, Nick Jackson, the Bucks, taking on the Lucha Brothers and the Laredo Kid. Are you kidding me? Cody versus Darby Allin? Oh, goodness. There's going to be some good professional wrestling going down on Saturday night, and we'll preview that on this week's episode of Dave and Johnny Live. And
Johnny's going to be here to watch
I will be watching it on Saturday night and then doing a post show right after for Fighter Fest, AEW's second show, the big professional wrestling company that's pushing the WWE to make some big changes.
Really?
As explosive as the wrestling world is, or as the MMA world is, the wrestling world is just as explosive. You didn't see the big news today, AJ?
No, I keep seeing Stephen Bonner like practicing like pro wrestling. Have you seen
Stephen Bonner?
Yeah, Stephen Bonner.
Yeah, Stephen Bonner's a pro wrestler. Tom Lawler is a pro wrestler.
Wow.
Matt Riddle, former UFC fighter. You remember him? He's actually in NXT, the WWE kind of developmental.
I think it's a great marriage, like for these two
Makes
sports.
a lot of sense.
Ronda Rousey, all the rest. I mean, it's a great transition sport.
It goes back and forth.
Back and forth.
It
really.
goes back and
Brock
forth.
Lesnar.
If you're an MMA fighter and you go into pro wrestling, you get a leg up. And if you're a pro wrestler and you go into MMA, you get a leg up.
You get a lot of respect.
Look at CM Punk.
CM Punk.
Look at Jack Swagger. Look at all these guys that are able to transition and get big contracts, bigger than an ordinary 0-0 professional fighter, because they have that notoriety from pro wrestling. So
that's right.
Pro wrestling and MMA work well together, and
there's a lot of support.
That's kind of where we are here on the channel. That's what Ringside Report Network is all about: MMA and pro wrestling.
Love. It's all about love.
So, the Malignaggi Artem stuff was kind of a bit of a freak show, a little bit of some pro wrestling involved there. Some serious MMA, though, was going on in London, England. Rafael Lovato Jr. becomes the new Bellator middleweight champion with a win over Gegard Mousasi, a decision victory. And it was a pretty definitive win for Lovato Jr.
Well, for a lot of people, it was a stunning upset, right?
I was surprised. I was pretty surprised.
But let's not forget, it's Lovato. So, you know what? Kudos to him. And you know what?
Great jiu-jitsu fighter who showed that he's got some striking as well. Like, he is a complete MMA fighter.
Look, it's an upset, but it happens in Bellator. Sometimes you'll see these big names go to Bellator, and, Ben Anderson, other guys come to mind that they don't get the automatic success that you would think they would, because in the UFC, great run, but once they get to Bellator, it's you think it's gonna be easier, but no, it's not easier.
It's a tough game
exactly.
over there.
A lot of tough matchups.
It was a close fight. It was a majority decision. One judge did score it a draw. I was watching it.
Okay.
I was somewhere. I was like watching it on my phone in the grocery store, so it was hard for me to because it happened on like a Saturday afternoon. The fight happened at like 2 in the afternoon on a Saturday. Because it was in England, it was hard to watch. You had to watch it on the app. It wasn't even on TV.
That's what happens when you have kids.
What's the deal? No, it's Bellator's fault. Why'd they put their title fight on the app in the afternoon? Right? Why wasn't it on TV? Now listen,
I don't know, man.
Bellator did their TV card at night. Right. It was on tape delay. It had already run. But the Paul Daly fight, that was the fight they put on TV. But for some reason, they did 3 fights live on their app, and the Gegard Mousasi middleweight title defense was one of them, and so was Melvin Manhoef. That was on the app. I guess they're trying to drive people to the app, but it was weird. Like, Just
Just
if
make
you're
it
gonna,
easy, man.
Yeah,
How does that sound?
it wasn't easy to watch the Gegard fight. I watched it, but I was kind of like,
it's summertime. Who wants to be watching, TV in the middle of the afternoon?
I want to watch Gegard Mousasi at any time.
I think everybody wants to watch that. I mean, this
like
is Lovato,
it was
man.
available, but I had to watch it on my phone on this app. Like, come on, Bellator.
I won't lie. I saw the highlights on Facebook, and that's how I saw
Fred.
it.
Yeah. Did you watch the fight, AJ?
I didn't watch it live.
You know what? I didn't watch it live either, so I gotta say.
So I'm the only one really putting in the effort. You're knocking me for watching it on my phone in the grocery store.
I'm just saying they got to make it
How dare
easier.
you.
You wanna get your fan base up. You got to make it easy.
You're saying
the UFC.
Yeah, but you were knocking me. You're like, oh, Bellator's got to make it easy. Now you're walking everything back. First you were attacking me. You're like, Dave, what's your problem?
I was stuck at a
That's
family
what happens
barbecue.
when you have
It's
kids.
hard.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's summertime, barbecue, families, etc.
I couldn't get internet. It's a long story.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna hate on you. I think it's normal.
I'm gonna hate on you, AJ.
It's all right.
But I don't think many people watch this fight.
Which they should have, because this is an awesome
exactly.
fight.
It was a great fight.
I mean, man, you got Lovato, who was probably the only non-Brazilian. Did you know that? He's one of the, I think in 2007, he's the only non-Brazilian to win the championship in Brazil. This guy has so much credentials behind him. He's not Brazilian.
Where's
he's
he
American.
from?
Yeah, he's American. So,
but
this
he's
guy
like
has
of Brazilian
probably
lineage,
descent.
no?
But as a non-Brazilian to win the national Brazilian championships, I mean, he's the only guy. Hats off, 2007. But this guy is just getting better and better. I mean, to beat Mousasi, I mean, that says a lot. I'm sure Dana White is keeping his eyes on Lovato again, and anything can happen.
Yeah, I mean, he showed that he's one of the best middleweights in the world. He's undefeated right now at 10-0 and just beat Gegard Mousasi and is the Bellator middleweight champion. The only knock against Lovato is he's 36 years old, which
is not old at all. Come on.
But if you're the UFC, I don't know if you see a long shelf life in a guy who's 36.
Well, look at Maia. He's fighting. He's 41. Let's be honest. It
he's
depends
not a world
on
champion. And he's already established as a name,
Sure. But so is Lovato at that level of jiu-jitsu.
Well, look, he's definitely a good star for Bellator, but I don't know if you want to send him over to the UFC. Like, why are you so quick to bring him to the UFC?
And there's a difference between MMA fans and BJJ fans. Like,
absolutely.
The BJJ community might know him, but the MMA community is a different one, and it's a bigger one, I think. That's where the UFC gets their money from.
Absolutely.
Damian Maia's an established name. Lovato...
that's it. I don't really think many people know who he is, and maybe that'll start changing.
Listen to our show.
Well, maybe that'll start changing with wins over Gegard Mousasi, but people have to see it, and you can't just stick it on the app at 2 p.m. because no one's going to see that.
Was that for the title? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So he's the champ now.
Yeah, but no one knows.
But they might have a rematch.
I texted my buddy Paul, who's a big Gegard Mousasi fan, and I was like, "Oh man, sad news for Gegard." And he's like, "What? Gegard fought? What happened?"
What?
He had no idea.
Yeah, that's
because
the thing.
people don't even know. It was on the app. Anyways, Paul Daly beat Eric Silva via unanimous decision on that card, and Melvin Manhoef got a decision victory. Also on Saturday night, the UFC was in Greenville, South Carolina, and the Korean Zombie in 58 seconds. What a knockout! Knocking out Renato Moicano in the very first round in under 1 minute. That was one punch, couple punches, and then it was over.
The Zombie is back.
One big
That's
punch
what it comes down to.
Knocked him down, and a couple finished him off.
So 15-5 in his career. He's back. People forgot about him in some sense, but they'll remember him now.
He did his military service.
Well,
that's why people. We didn't see him for so long because he was gone to do his military.
4 years away.
4 years.
Yep.
Wow.
He went from August 2013 to February 2017, just under 4 years, without a fight there while he was in military service. And that fight that he had in August 2013 before he went away was a title fight against the one and only Jose Aldo. Okay? Now, he just beat Renato Moicano. You know who else beat Renato Moicano? Jose Aldo.
Yeah.
Aldo's coming off a decision loss to Alexander Volkanovski, but he signed a new contract before that fight. This is according to, I think it was ESPN that reported that. So Aldo has signed an 8-fight deal with the UFC, including the Volkanovski fight, so he's got 7 fights left.
Which is kind of surprising because I think he only fights twice in 1 year at times.
Sure.
So, like,
I don't know how long he's actually going to fight for, but I could see him doing 7 more fights. Why not?
He's 32 years old, so it
He's
kind
got
of makes
plenty
sense.
of time. So, how about this? You know who else is 32 years old? The Korean Zombie. And they had that fight back in 2013. It was a good fight, but Zombie dislocated his shoulder in the fight, and Aldo then took control. That was a close fight. They're both, I think, good, but maybe not at the elite level right now in well, they probably are still elite at featherweight, but it's going to be tough for Aldo to get another title shot. Volkanovski's definitely in line. Aldo's fought the champ Holloway a couple times. He lost both times. And I think a win over the Korean Zombie is good for Aldo because Korean Zombie is a well-known fighter. You know, there's not that many name guys at 145 pounds. Zombie is one of them. I think he's one of the more marquee fights for Aldo to get right now. And for Zombie, like, sure, you take the Jose Aldo fight, you want the rematch, and if you beat Jose Aldo, then all of a sudden people are going to start talking about you for a title shot with Max Holloway. So I think it's a win-win, really, for both Aldo and Chan Sung Jung. And that's the fight I would make if I were the UFC next.
Well, let's put it this way: the Korean Zombie in Korea, he's definitely he's a hero over there. Everybody knows the Zombie,
and Aldo's a hero in Brazil.
So there you go. I mean, you just got to get these two guys to fight, and we'll see what happens.
Let's do it. Let's do that fight.
So
you know what? Every time we say something,
you could put even as a main event for a fight night. I mean,
that's absolutely
true.
That's
a very good fight. So
they fought for the championship, 6 years ago.
Do it again,
Jose
man.
Aldo's a great champion. Korean Zombie just main evented. Look. This was a fight night card. It was Korean Zombie versus Renato Moicano. That was the main event. If you give me Korean Zombie versus Jose Aldo, I mean, you could put that as a co-main event of a pay-per-view.
Well,
that's a big fight.
Absolutely.
It's a big fight.
I mean,
so let's do that. Anything else impress you at UFC Greenville? Did you watch that?
Yeah. There was,
Randy Brown beating Brian Barberina in the co-main event by TKO. That was a nice win for Randy Brown. Andrea Lee over Montana De La Rosa by decision. Luis Pena with a TKO win over Matt Wyman.
Yeah.
So UFC Greenville, and we're going to preview UFC Ngannou versus Dos Santos going to Minneapolis, Minnesota. We've got Francis Ngannou taking on Junior Dos Santos. We've got Joseph Benavidez taking on Jussier Formiga. And we've got Damian Maia against Anthony Rocco Martin. That is a nice triple main event going down on Saturday night. I also want to talk about the John Jones loss. John Jones has one loss on his record, and the UFC president is trying to overturn that loss. And BJ Penn, what's the matter with that guy? We'll get to that when we come back. It's Ringside Report. And we're back. It is Ringside Report. I'm Dave. Freddie is here. AJ is here. RingsideReport.net is our website. You can follow us on Twitter at Dave Simon MMA. Follow AJ at Danny Bruck. Follow Fred at Freddie MMA. And you can go to our YouTube channel right now. You can watch us every Thursday night at 8 p.m. We do Ringside Report live Thursdays at 8.
We're three good-looking guys. Why not, man?
Yeah, why not? You can also watch Dave and Johnny live on the YouTube channel. You can watch Wrestling Uncensored on the YouTube channel. You can watch our Stomping Grounds post-show on the YouTube channel, a show that did very well. Very successful Stomping Grounds post-show this past Sunday, boys, on the Ringside Report Network. And it was co-hosted by my brother. So
yeah, well, I saw part of it.
Yeah.
Because Stomping Grounds finished early, which, by the way, thank you.
Yeah,
WWE.
it finished at what, like 10:15?
Yeah, exactly.
That early?
I think that's why the post show was so successful.
And when people, have things to do on a Monday morning, it's fun that it finishes early. So
yeah,
props to WWE for that.
If you did watch the Stomping Grounds post show, my thoughts on WWE Stomping Grounds, you don't have to wait until Wrestling Uncensored to hear my thoughts on the pay-per-views. I'm on after every single WWE pay-per-view live on YouTube. Every single WWE pay-per-view from WrestleMania all the way down to Stomping Grounds, I am on the YouTube channel talking to you.
Man. You're a beast.
And for those of you that did watch, thank you very much. For those of you that did not, you can go check it out at youtube.com/ringsidereport.net. More info for the YouTube channel is on our website at ringsidereport.net. Brand new look, very clean, very neat and tidy, and it's all up there at ringsidereport.net.
We're looking good, man. That's for sure. Big time.
Everything continues to move. Like
just like a circle.
Yeah.
It just keeps going.
It's
like John Jones' career. It just keeps going.
This show is a shark, okay?
You know, picograms and all, it's still moving.
We continue to move forward.
Yeah.
Sharks always move forward, and when they stop, they die. And
really?
we're still alive, so we're still moving forward, right?
Like tuna.
This show is a shark, and this show is also a family. We all did Ringside Report Family Day.
It was awesome.
This past weekend. It was fantastic. We got our families together, and we went
to the
giraffes
zoo. And everything.
We went to the zoo.
Dave didn't.
I saw the giraffes.
Did you?
Well, on the safari ride. Oh, but you
Not
guys went to see more
yeah.
giraffes. Yeah. My kid was very tired. He was done walking. It was a lot.
It was a hot day.
It was a lot for the little guy.
I think I lost about 10 pounds in the car ride. But
it was
that's
a
very
very hot day. It was a lot of fun. We went to the Park Safari Zoo. We saw lions. We saw elephants. We saw bears. We saw everything.
We saw
Camels.
Camels.
And we got to hang out with
Ostriches.
our families. We all hung out together.
Camels are friendly. That's what I found
Camels
out.
are super
Well,
friendly.
I don't know.
I was feeding them, and they just kept on. They loved it.
I was a little scared to feed the camels.
They came into my car, man. It's like a huge head. I
they're
couldn't
not.
get them out. I
Yeah.
had to put the window up, but like
I rolled my windows up.
recommended.
I don't
Don't
want
do
the
that.
camels in my car. I don't want them in
they're
there.
like, they stink, man.
Yeah, and they spit on you. They bite. I don't want
There's
camels
like
in
all
there.
like spit
But
on the
people do
side.
feed the camels. Freddie's braver than we are, AJ. He fed the camels.
But he didn't feed them carrots. They say you
No,
can't
they
feed
say
carrots.
don't feed the carrots, even though everybody does for
yeah,
some
what's
reason.
up with that?
I don't
saw
know.
carrots all over the place.
Everybody breaks the rules at the Park Safari. It wasn't cool, but you know,
at that point there, like give him poutine. I don't know.
unbelievable.
It's terrible.
But it was fun. And we get together. We have Family Day. And
It was awesome.
I don't think many other shows do that. I don't think a lot of these
you
shows.
don't see that on I don't think Rogan does that kind of stuff. He's never gone to Park Safari. Not that I know.
Well,
of.
I don't know if he's got, but I'm saying the shows.
But if he does come down,
the shows don't always get
Rogan
together.
probably goes to real African safaris. Like he doesn't.
What
need to
the
come
one that BJ Penn went to, Femme Nu.
Oh boy.
That's the
That's not Ringside Report Family Day, AJ.
Oh, sorry.
The BJ Penn story, that's very not Ringside Report Family Day.
sorry. Wrong.
So we're going to post a
Wrong
picture
topic.
of us on our Instagram at Ringside Report of the Ringside Report Family Day.
Mine is BJ Penn.
I think with a camel in the background.
Oh yeah, that's
I
right.
think there was a camel. So we'll get that picture up on the Ringside Report Instagram and Twitter at Ringside Report. You
That
can
was
check
fun.
that out. It was fun
Yep.
getting together. We're not just on this show because we have to be. We're on this show because
we're family.
we're
man.
a family,
Come here, Freddie. Give me a hug.
and we love talking fighting and stuff together. Yeah, you guys just hug each other. I'm
Here,
good.
come
No,
here,
I'm
babe.
good.
Come
I'm
here,
good.
virtual hug.
Yeah.
You can't see that on radio, but I'm gonna give I'm gonna give him a virtual kiss.
All right. Oh, thanks, AJ. That was nice. Oh, a
That's
little
the
wet.
BJ Penn that probably
was
got him
nice.
kicked out of the.
So
The
BJ Penn got kicked out of a strip club in Honolulu. BJ Penn lives there in
What's
Hawaii.
up with this guy, man?
I don't know. There was a domestic incident with his wife a couple of months ago, and now this. BJ Penn gets kicked out of a strip club for behaving in a drunken manner and then proceeds to get into a fight with the bouncer outside of the strip club. And there's video, and it was on TMZ this week. Not a good look, Baby J. Not a good look.
You know what? I wasn't joking. The actual place was called Femme Nu. So, like, for everyone.
Oh, was
listening
that the
around,
name of the
That
place?
was the actual name
Cool.
of the place. So, BJ Penn at Femme Nu, rolling around like God knows what. I saw the video. It was actually, you know what? He had good side control on a jiu-jitsu perspective. He had good control
Yeah.
of the bouncer. The
And you
bouncer
know
was a
that
much bigger guy.
Much bigger guy, and BJ was holding him
Yeah.
down, and like that guy was not moving. Very good side control.
Very good.
Excellent. You could tell BJ's a black belt. You know what I mean?
yeah. He controlled him. He
Yeah.
he didn't want to punch him, even though he was drunk. BJ wasn't really trying to throw any punches.
Give him a big os.
Us, BJ. Considering that you were hammered like I don't know, like some squirrel on Crescent Street after 3 a.m. The thing is this. Kudos to your jiu-jitsu skills being intoxicated, but don't do that at home, kids. This is like wrong. I mean, BJ
Or outside of a strip club.
or outside of a strip joint. The thing is that what
Kids.
kids. So listen to this.
What kids
Why
are
BJ?
getting? What kids are
Well, in
behaving drunkenly at strip clubs
is
and getting
Quebec,
kicked
man,
out?
Montreal.
How about?
You'd
How
be
about?
surprised, man.
Yeah.
There's
Okay.
a lot of.
I think was it. I'm trying to think. It was Mark Twain that once said. He says, if you throw a rock in Montreal, back in the old days, yeah, you might hit a church. But nowadays, if you throw a rock, you might hit a church and it bounces off a strip joint. So that's the difference with Montreal.
Okay,
BJ Penn
Jay,
would love it here.
So I would advise not only children but adults as well not to get kicked out of strip clubs, not to behave in a way where you would get kicked out of a strip club, which, like, what do you have to do that? And also, when that happens,
I could tell you a couple of stuff. But.
All right.
No, but
don't
think
get
about
into a fight with the bouncer. Like, don't do that either. And especially if you're a famous UFC champion that a lot of people look up to. But, you know, we're hearing a lot of stories about BJ Penn. Some of the stories involve drunken fights. Some of the stories involve scaring his wife. Some of the stories involve cocaine use. There's a lot of different stories that are circulating about BJ Penn, and none of them seem very nice. None of them make BJ Penn seem like a very nice guy or the martial arts hero that so many thought that he was.
But you know what? What it comes down to is, look, maybe
it's a fall from grace for the great
it is,
BJ
but he's
Penn.
not the only one. When you're looking at some of the greats from the past, you're looking at Matt Hughes and you're looking at BJ Penn, and the last one, I think, who was it that went on a rampage? Like
John Jones?
Well, besides
Rampage?
Rampage.
The Rampage?
I mean, look at Chuck Liddell. You know, he didn't have the cleanest after career.
Well, yeah, but he never had his career was like completely different. I mean, he was partying the night
during his career. So
the night of the
is
fight.
John Jones.
Yeah,
and
but,
John Jones is the greatest
different.
ever.
But this is
and
different.
You know what? BJ Penn was never one to love the training. I always said BJ Penn is a natural talent because this guy never loved practicing. Like he wasn't about going to the gym and getting ready for the fight. But once the fight started, he was pure skills. You know, unfortunately in today's MMA, you need to be at that gym, and that's what's been always BJ's biggest like downfall is his lack of commitment to his physical training.
Yeah, and not only that, but I think probably the partying had something to do with it.
It might come with
because it was a very steep decline. You know, BJ Penn went from being one of the best in the world to being a guy who couldn't buy a win. Like, this guy has not won a fight in nearly 10 years. Yeah. His last win was by a knockout over Matt Hughes in 2010.
And these two together now are like complete, like, they've just lost it. I mean, Matt Hughes, unfortunately, he did get hit by a train and whatnot. But
yeah, but a lot of the stuff that Matt Hughes did that he detailed in his book, horrific incidents that he laughed about, he's admitted to this stuff, and that happened before he got hit by a train. So that's no excuse for the horrible things and the horrible person that Matt Hughes is.
Which is, I met Matt Hughes. I mean, you know, quiet guy.
I don't like Matt Hughes. I don't like Matt Hughes.
Should we be saying that on Ringside Report?
Why not?
But well, you know what? Yeah,
Are you kidding me?
You're entitled to it.
I don't like Matt Hughes.
Simon,
I don't.
Not me. I didn't
I
say
don't
Dave
like
Simon.
anybody who kills like an African cat, like a big jungle cat. Like, I don't know what he killed. Like, there are pictures of Matt Hughes like he killed a lion or something. Like, if you're gonna go out and do that, like, that's not cool, man. I don't like that.
You're right. But that's what I'm trying to say is, these guys have had like long careers when you think about it. Yes, they're young, but I mean, his Clay Guida fight, which wasn't that long ago. I mean, do you think maybe there's some damage to their brain or something is like off with these guys? I mean, something is just not right.
I'm not willing.
Yeah, what is that? Like, that's like a cat, and Matt Hughes killed it. It's a leopard. Matt Hughes just kills leopards. If you Google Matt Hughes Hunter, there are pictures of Matt Hughes next to these majestic animals.
Ooh,
and we were just at Park Safaris seeing these great animals, and there's Matt Hughes just sitting next to them dead with his gun all proud.
So basically, we're not going to bring Matt Hughes to Park Safari.
Deer hunting is one thing, but the type of guy who wants to go to Africa and kill these majestic beasts because they're just there for him to kill, I don't know. Here he is with a bear that he killed or another big cat or something.
He's a hunter.
Man.
He's a hunter.
He's a hunter, but like, is that an elephant?
Yeah.
Is that Matt Hughes?
That's not a good picture.
Ew.
That's not a good picture. But the thing is that there's problems with these guys. I mean, I don't know what's going on. I mean, everybody can make mistakes, but when you're...
Well, and it's not just animals that Matt Hughes has been cruel to. He's been cruel to a lot of humans. He's done some terrible things. BJ Penn is also kind of a mess right now, getting into fights with bouncers and so on. Look, a lot of these guys aren't going to be people you want to look up to. These are not all role models.
Well, they're not all George St-Pierre, right?
They're cage fighters.
That's why George is
George
a great
is the
representative.
exception.
He's the exception, but there's a lot of guys out there too. I mean, you look at Randy Couture, and you look at a lot of guys that are out there that are amazing to the sport of MMA. It's too bad that we're seeing BJ Penn behaving like this. He forgets that he's in the public eye, even though he's retired.
It's a shame.
Well,
it's
not
a real
retired
shame
per se, but he's a legend. He's in the Hall of Fame. I mean, you can't act like this. He was a hero of like Hawaii. I mean, you can't behave like this.
Well, look, it is.
You know what? He needs to make a statement.
you
and he needs to make
shouldn't
one and
No,
apologize.
this is what he needs. He needs to get help because
Yeah,
clearly
absolutely.
BJ Penn has a drinking problem. BJ Penn has a problem with alcohol. When you are getting into fights with bouncers and getting kicked out of a strip club because you're acting too drunk, you got a problem with alcohol and you should seek help. I just
Or
want
hard
BJ
drugs.
to get the help he needs. Or maybe cocaine too, because he's been accused of abusing cocaine for years by his estranged wife. So
and you know what? You look at guys like the Diaz brothers. Like they've got that party look, and they do party and everything. But okay, there was
they seem to have their thing under control.
They do, man. Look, they do stuff, but they're not.
Nate does anyways.
Well, look, they're not in the
Nick's
news like these guys.
Instagram is like lit.
Nick
I don't know
looks
what's
like
going
Johnny Depp in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
every day.
Yeah, but they're
Go
not.
to Nick Diaz's Instagram right now. And I've been saying this on the show for a solid year, that if you go to Nick Diaz's Instagram at any moment, you go right now, go to his Instagram story, you will find pictures of him partying in Vegas or in California or wherever, and video, whatever. This guy is partying every single day. He made his money in MMA. He's never going to fight again. He is partying. And if you go to his Instagram at any time, like, it doesn't matter. Instagram stories, they disappear after 24 hours. So if you're hearing this in a week or two or whatever, it doesn't matter. There is a party going on Nick Diaz's Instagram. If you are with Nick Diaz, you are at the party.
Yeah, but they're not behaving
Enjoy
like
yourself.
donkeys, Dave. That's the difference.
Nick's not fighting anybody.
No, but he's not behaving like this. These are like stories.
Yeah, BJ's not looking good.
They're not looking good, man.
And the UFC still wants him to fight despite all of this. The UFC also allowed Desmond Green to fight. Desmond Green has been arrested for many charges, including a DUI manslaughter for his role in a car accident that caused the death of 2 women in August 2018.
And many injured.
Green, other people were injured. 2 women died. Green is facing a number of charges. He could be facing a lengthy prison sentence. He fought 3 times in the UFC since the accident. How did the UFC allow this guy to fight 3 times while all this was pending, including the win over Montreal-based fighter Charles Jourdain? So I think all those wins should be taken away from Desmond Green. The guy may have killed 2 people.
No, he did, and that's the thing.
Allegedly,
he
hasn't been.
Well, he's going to be going to court
He's
soon.
been charged with the crime, but he hasn't been found guilty yet.
Not yet, but like they were saying that this guy might be gone.
I know
for
you're
4
quick
years.
to call everybody guilty, but he's not guilty yet.
Well, you know what? The people that were involved in that accident, because he was like smoking like pot and doing cocaine and all this kind of stuff at 6 a.m, people died because he was dumb. He's a dummy. And you know what?
There was
I don't
cocaine
like?
and weed found in his car. Right?
Absolutely. He was like flying the kite like there's no tomorrow. But the thing is that I get upset is that it's too bad this information wasn't brought out when he fought Charles Jourdain, because he was
this
like
is
such
the first
a fan.
I hear of it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And you know what? Everybody was booing like Charles because, it was his first fight. They were like Desmond all the way. And if people would have heard what this guy was involved with, I'll tell you what, it would have been a different story. And it's too bad that Charles didn't smoke him, which actually Charles did really well. And I'm with you. If the UFC knew all about this and he's going to be like convicted of these charges, which he could get up to 4 years minimum, you know what? They should overturn that win.
That makes no sense.
No, they should, man.
Fred's not with us on this, AJ.
Look,
why not, Fred? Why not?
Come on.
Well, I mean, he won.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
you're not erasing OJ from the record book. You're not like, I mean, these guys still did what they did.
But they might do it for
Asterisk.
Jones.
Could we put an asterisk
Yeah.
like Barry Bonds?
I don't know.
I mean,
It's a weird one. It's a weird one.
don't know what the UFC knew about all of this, but if they had any clue that this was going on, why did they let him fight?
How could they not know that this is going on?
I don't know.
I mean,
Maybe he didn't tell.
That's impossible. It's almost impossible.
It doesn't look good. Like, it doesn't feel right that the UFC let this guy fight while all this was going on.
You know what? Absolutely. It doesn't make sense. But
I would think they didn't know. I would think he hid it from them.
How can you hide that?
Or maybe they knew, but there's nothing they
he's
could
still
do because
he's not guilty yet.
They well, that's it. Like maybe there was an investigation.
If they knew, you just pay out his contract and release him.
I don't understand that this happened in August 2008, but he's only getting arrested now. How does this work?
2008?
2018, sorry.
But the crazier part...
This happened in August of last year, and he's only getting arrested now after fighting 3 times in the UFC since the accident.
He fought weeks after. He was in Russia
Why
fighting.
is he... What's the deal? Why is he only being arrested now?
I guess in the States...
Judicial system sometimes
I don't
is
understand America. Anyways. So that's happening. Speaking of losses being overturned... UFC President Dana White says he wants to get Jon Jones' one MMA loss overturned. The disqualification loss to Matt Hamill because of the 12-6 elbows. He's trying to get, I think, the state of Nevada to turn that into a no contest, which at the time I thought was going to be a no contest. I remember watching that fight and seeing the 12-6 elbows and thinking, oh, well, okay, well, Jones has beaten up Matt Hamill pretty badly, and the referee, for some reason, is stopping the fight. I guess, Matt Hamill's beat up too badly, and those elbows were technically illegal because he went from 12 to 6, which is like a straight downward elbow, which is technically illegal. You can go, 1 to 7 if you want to, but you can't go 12 to 6, which is kind of dumb.
Like, it's hard.
It's a stupid rule that doesn't really add up in MMA. It should be eliminated. I think one day it will be. It's still in the rule book. You can't go 12 to 6 on an elbow strike. You can hit a guy with a side elbow that'll slice him up, or 6 to 12 the other way, but you can't go boom straight down 12 to 6 for some reason. I don't think that makes a lot of sense, and I think one day we'll get that rule overturned. But at this point, all right, it's the one loss on Jones's career. It was a disqualification. Should have been ruled a no contest then. I think it's too late.
Well, if Dana White is bringing it up,
well, I don't agree. It should have been a no contest then, because basically the foul, which it was, stopped the fight. So if it
did it? I don't think so. Hamill wasn't done. He was just taking a vicious beating, and then one of those strikes was 12 to 6, and Steve Mazzagatti was
there was a couple of them. I think there wasn't just one.
Maybe a couple.
And I would say, if I gouge your eye and you can't continue, I get disqualified. So he committed a foul. Now I agree. I would change the rule where the 12 to 6 elbow is not much different from any other elbow. Joe Rogan used to say that basically that rule came from the commission seeing people break bricks and wood.
Yeah,
wooden
the karate
pal-
guys.
Yeah, exactly. So
and
they're
they thought, that's going to kill somebody.
Yeah, but, it's not.
I don't even know if that's the real reason why that rule is in effect.
So, no, it makes sense.
But that's the Rogan explanation of that.
I'm sure.
But look, they should just change that rule.
It doesn't make any sense.
They should change the rule. But look, the fight was 10 years ago. It's the greatest win on Matt Hamill's record.
And with that said, look, 10 years
everybody
ago,
knows.
It's
Everybody
never happened
knows.
again. It was an issue 10 years ago in one fight.
Yeah.
It's never, it's not that
But I'm
big
saying
of a-
Dana White, wasting any of his time to try and get this win overturned, I don't think it really matters. Jon Jones has a 24-1-1 record.
But Jon Jones could be the exception. Like in MMA, I always say everybody loses at some point. Jon Jones is that exception.
Yeah, he's never really lost.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got a loss on his record, but everybody who knows the Jon Jones career and knows about, what the one loss is all about, knows that Jon Jones is undefeated and undefeatable. You cannot beat this man. He has another no contest on his record, though. It is the win over Daniel Cormier that was overturned because Jones tested positive for Turinabol. Picograms.
Pico.
They stay with you forever.
Yeah,
Jon Jones.
Pico train.
Jon Jones is fighting next week.
Woo-hoo!
Next Saturday, Jon Jones is fighting Thiago Santos, UFC 239 in Las Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena. You've also got Amanda Nunes taking on Holly Holm for the women's bantamweight title. George Masvidal versus Ben Askren. Jan Blachowicz versus Luke Rockhold. Michael Chiesa versus Diego Sanchez. And that's just the pay-per-view card. You've got Gilbert Melendez taking on Arnold Allen on the prelims. Claudia Gadelha versus Randa Marcos. Are you kidding me? This card is stacked. This is the card of the summer, and it's going down next weekend. John Jones, Thiago Santos, Amanda Nunes, Holly Holm, and Ben Askren, George Masvidal, your boy Luke Rockhold on the card. My goodness.
This is crazy, man.
Woo.
Let's get a barbecue going here. Let's do it,
All right.
man.
Well, we're going to have a big party next Saturday right here.
Poker, you're coming?
Poker.
I always
and then we'll be on YouTube too, right? A little YouTube.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do a little YouTube show for UFC 239.
Right. We'll get Muscles Marco here to do the waitering and the barbecuing and all that kind of stuff.
That's right.
I know he's listening. Marco, get ready. Get your apron ready.
That's right. Big party for Ringside Report. More details on the Ringside Report Summer Barbecue YouTube special on next week's episode of Ringside Report. For now, though, let's preview the fights at hand. Francis Ngannou versus Junior Dos Santos. Cigano, the heavyweight champ, back at it. Derek Lewis was the last victim. Tai Tuivasa before that. Blago Ivanov before that. JDS has won 3 in a row since losing to Stipe Miocic. Francis Ngannou has won 2 in a row since losing to Stipe Miocic, and Derek Lewis beating Curtis Blades and Cain Velasquez in his last outing. And I'd say that was the biggest win of Ngannou's career, at least the biggest name on his record. You beat Cain Velasquez, and you are super legit.
Big time.
The win was a little weird,
fluky, yeah.
little fluky, but he hit him with a shot. Like, he hit Cain, and Cain kind of fell back, and when he fell back, his knee buckled.
It was weird.
And he tore his knee up, and the fight kind of ended with Cain kind of on the ground. It looked like a knockout, but if you saw it again, you know, Cain just had an injury there. Junior Dos Santos did legitimately knock out Cain Velasquez on the first ever UFC on Fox card. He has done it. Ngannou, not so much. But Ngannou's very tough, and he looked really good in the Curtis Blades fight. He looked very bad in the Derek Lewis fight, though, after Stipe Miocic. And I wonder what happens here with Junior Dos Santos. Ngannou had a great run, knocking out Andrei Arlovsky, knocking out Alistair Overeem. Then he ran into a lot of problems with Stipe. A lot of problems, seemed like a mental block with Derek Lewis, but then he came back, beat Curtis Blades, then had that weird Cain Velasquez fight. Junior Dos Santos is very high level. I think from a technical standpoint, he's better, but I don't think he hits as hard as Francis Ngannou. And I don't know if he can take a punch as well as Francis Ngannou. That's the other thing that's very dangerous for JDS. He's been knocked out before. Ngannou's losses all by decision. Junior Dos Santos, he got TKO loss by Stipe, TKO loss by Cain, TKO loss, basically a knockout by Overeem when he kicked him in the head in their fight. Dos Santos has taken some lumps. He's been in the game longer than Ngannou, and he's been in some vicious battles. Like the 2 Cain Velasquez fights that he had where he lost, brutal. The Stipe fight that he won, brutal. He's been to war in that octagon, but he looks really sharp. Like, as much as there's wear and tear on Junior Dos Santos, he's still very effective. So, I don't know. This is a really, really tough fight to call, and it's why I'm so excited. Yeah, exactly. This is a great fight because I think you could flip a coin and pick a winner on this, and I think it's going to be exciting the whole way through, and we'll probably see somebody get knocked out. They've got 25 minutes to do it. Somebody's going to sleep. Francis Ngannou is a favorite, -235. Junior Dos Santos +195. That's kind of how I feel about it. I feel like
I'm surprised he's such a favorite, Ngannou. I would have thought it would have been closer to a pick him.
Yeah, I think Ngannou should be the favorite, but maybe not that heavy.
I'm leaning towards Ngannou. I'm going to pick him to win probably by KO. Like you say, 25 minutes is a long time. And you were mentioning the Ngannou-Velasquez fight. Look, that was a fluky thing, but Ngannou has the power to knock out anybody in the heavyweight division. He only needs to connect, you know.
But does he have that power deep in a fight? That's what I wonder. Like, if Junior Dos Santos can survive the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, if it goes deeper, I think it goes towards Junior. It would probably mean Junior's picking him apart, you know, like Junior moves better and Ngannou. But hey, those first 2 rounds, if Ngannou gets that big shot, remember that Overeem knockout? Like,
it was nasty.
So
you've got to respect Ngannou's power a lot, and you've got to be very, very careful not to get hit, especially when he's fresh. But I think if Dos Santos takes it into the later rounds, he can win this fight. But I don't know if he's going to be able to. I feel like this is going to be an Ngannou night where he hits JDS goes down, and that'll be it.
Look, you're absolutely right. I think if it goes the distance, Dos Santos will probably win the fight if he can bring it past 3 rounds, which I think is not going to happen.
I don't even think he needs for it to go to a decision to win the fight. I think Dos Santos, all he needs to do is survive the first 10 minutes, maybe not get hit so much, frustrate Ngannou, make him miss. You make him miss, you pick your shots. You're not that active. You're moving around and you're avoiding the big shots. And Ngannou might tire himself out.
Well, that's what's
you
gonna
get
happen.
him doing that for 10 minutes, and then you have rounds 3, 4, 5 to work, and you could put him to sleep. Like, you could put his lights out. You tire a man out. He's easier to hit. He's easier to hurt. He's slower, and he can take a punch less well.
Absolutely.
So,
well, he took a good beating against Stipe still. Like, Ngannou could still, like, get the beating. But, yeah, I can see.
But he took that beating against Stipe, and who knows how much that took out of him.
Look, I'm
Just
going to
because you can do it once doesn't mean you can do it forever. Not everybody's Diego Sanchez.
And I fully agree with how you broke it down. Like, if it goes past 2 rounds, Junior takes over. Whether he finishes him or goes to decision, that's left to be seen. But first 2 rounds, I'm going for Ngannou. If it's not over by then, I'm going to be scared on my pick.
Yeah, but the experience for sure is on Dos Santos' side. If it goes the distance, that's what he's planning. There's no way he's going to be looking at a slugfest. Right off the bat, Ngannou's going for that knockout punch. He wants to put Dos Santos in like the next universe.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And strategy is simple. Stay away from those bombs, wear him down. And you know what? Ngannou's...
No, don't stay away. Go for it, man.
I want to
see bombs going
But like
everywhere.
as a fighter, I'm sure Dos Santos is not going to want to exchange.
So who you picking? Because I'm going to go with Ngannou by knockout in the first 2 rounds.
Me too.
In the first 2 rounds. That's what I think is going to happen.
And don't say, but if it goes further than this. No, you have
next week. Yeah.
And then next week he's like, AJ's always right. I told you guys.
But if it goes further than 3 rounds, Dos Santos has a chance.
Okay, but tell me who you picking.
I'm going to go with Ngannou in the first round TKO.
Thank you.
There's going to be a mistake. I know.
We've got
I love Dos Santos,
we've got a good co-main event. Jussier Formiga taking on Joseph Benavidez. And these are 2 of the best flyweights in the world. The flyweight division still exists in the UFC. I thought they were getting rid of this thing. Not so.
They still have 13 fighters in there, so let's do it.
And Joseph Benavidez might be the last guy to have defeated Henry Cejudo. He is.
Yep.
He beat the current bantamweight and flyweight champion back in 2016. And Cejudo then won 5 straight, including some very impressive wins. Benavidez lost to Sergio Pettis right after that fight, which was kind of surprising. And now he's won 2 in a row over Alex Perez and Dustin Ortiz. Formiga, on the other hand, has won 4 straight. He is coming in as the underdog, though, in this fight, plus 135. I like him as an underdog. I like Formiga in this one. Formiga is tough. He's got a lot of power. I'm going with Formiga.
Yeah, but he's the underdog.
You know what Formiga means in Portuguese?
Well, I know what it means. I think in Italian too.
It's an ant.
An ant.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Exactly.
But
Formiga.
he's gonna get like
because he's small.
Because
he's small. Get it?
Yeah.
He's like 5'5", 125. He's not that small.
But you know what I don't understand? You got like 13 fighters on that roster. There's so many guys like around like just North America at that weight.
It might just be contracts that they're waiting to finish. You know, like
I mean, it's gonna be an exciting.
We'll see. We'll
match.
see.
There's no doubt about it.
I expect the next fight for Cejudo to be a bantamweight. Like,
I think it's gonna depend who distinguishes themselves as a contender. I don't think there's a clear-cut contender at 125 or 135 right now. Like, back against the wall. Who's the number one contender? I don't know. No one knows. No one knows. So Cejudo's hurt anyways. I think you can wait and then have some guys fight, and then if somebody is obvious to be the number one contender, give it to them, either at 125 or 135. I think Cejudo is planning on going back and forth and defending both titles. So do that. But wait, and maybe the winner of Benavidez and Formiga gets it. I'm going to go with Formiga. Who you guys going with?
Benavidez as well.
All right. How about Damian Maia and Anthony Rocco Martin? I think we're all going to go in the same direction here. Maia minus 190 the favorite. Rocco plus 165 the underdog. Damian Maia, one of the best jiu-jitsu guys to ever step foot in the octagon. He is 41 and still a savage. Submitted Lyman Good in the first round back in February in his last fight, while Rocco Martin got a decision win over Serginho, who's a very good jiu-jitsu fighter too. Not quite as good as Damian Maia, not quite as dangerous or as well-rounded as Damian Maia. And I actually watched that fight, their Serginho Rocco Martin fight this week, just to kind of familiarize myself and, remember. There were instances there where Rocco put himself into some bad situations on the ground, and he survived. But I thought to myself, Maia would finish him in that. Like Serginho, maybe not, but Maia is going to finish you. And I think Maia will probably submit him. I understand seeing Damian Maia win by submission is no big surprise to anybody. But, Rocco Martin's got some good jiu-jitsu defense, but I don't think it's going to be good enough. I think it was good enough for Serginho, not good enough for Damian Maia. I think Maia probably chokes him in the first round.
Look, it's not like Anthony Rocco Martin has a bad career. I mean, he's 7-1. He's been
very
fighting
good
since 2013. You can't just disregard him.
He's 16-4.
You said his last 8 fights.
Okay.
In his last 8 fights, he's 7-1. So you know what? It's not so bad. He has a good record. He's been in the game long enough. But you're right. He's fighting Maia. Once it goes to the ground, Maia takes his back. And
levels to the game, right?
For sure.
Levels to the game.
Look, anything could happen, right? But
the only thing we've seen Maia sometimes slow down after that first round. So
he's starting to gas a little bit
41,
quicker.
He's up there in age. I'm picking Maia. A big fan. Love him. But with that said, if he has a weakness, sometimes it's that he'll win that first round, and then the second round he doesn't have that same energy, doesn't get the takedown, has a tougher second round, and often will lose a decision, 29-28.
Yes. If he goes super hard on the takedown, if he goes super hard on the back mount, if he goes super hard fighting for that rear naked choke, and he doesn't get it in the first round, maybe he loses by decision because he just
can't get it.
Yeah, maybe he loses 29-28. Fred, that's a solid point, and that's something that does happen to Damian Maia.
And the polls
especially as he gets older, and I think he's big too. Like, he used to fight at 185, fighting at 170, the weight cut, especially when you're 41, it's tough.
Well, it's not that it's that old, but again, you know what? It's Damian Maia. He knows how to control the game.
Yeah, but and then we're all picking him to win, though?
Yeah.
All right.
But what's funny is...
We did get a text here.
From who?
We got a text saying that the number one contender at bantamweight, this is from, let's see, Jake McDonald. He says Aljamain Sterling, number one contender at bantamweight.
Makes sense.
And, he is the number 2 ranked bantamweight right now in the UFC. I think Peter Yan is making a name for himself, too. And I think... he's gonna be the future. I'd like to see Aljamain Sterling fight Peter Yan, and the winner of that fight, well then, obviously you're the clear-cut number 1 contender. That's the kind of thing.
Awesome fight.
How long is Cejudo out for?
6 to 8 months or something with a shoulder injury.
Yeah.
Peter Yan just beat, a good fighter in his last fight. Aljamain Sterling beat Pedro Munoz. Wasn't that it was on the same card, right?
Yeah, the same card.
UFC 238, where Cejudo fought too. Aljamain beat Munoz, and Peter Yan beat Jimmy Rivera, who's also very tough. And Peter Yan, it's hard to deny this guy. He's 13-1. He's undefeated in the UFC. I feel like him and Aljamain Sterling is the fight to make. You make Peter Yan, Aljamain Sterling, the winner of the fight. The winner of that fight is a clear-cut number 1 contender for Henry Cejudo. When he comes back, he has to fight that guy at 135.
Yep.
That to me is the fight to make. Aljamain Sterling's definitely up there, but I think Peter Yan's up there too. And until you have like an obvious number one contender, I don't think you could say, oh, well, it's Sterling's fight. Is it though? He's got to fight somebody else. Kind of like the welterweight championship right now. Colby Covington kind of felt like it was his fight, right? Colby Covington was the interim champion. He felt like he was next in line for Kamaru Usman. And the UFC seems to be saying, yeah, not so fast, Colby Covington. We're not really feeling you right now. You're not.
Here's Robbie Lawler.
Yeah, here's Robbie Lawler.
Which is going to be an awesome fight as well,
yeah,
right?
but what happened was
he won the title fight that he wanted.
He won an interim title last year by beating Rafael dos Anjos. He hasn't fought since. He's 14-1. He's a good fighter with a good record, but you got to stay active and you got to stay in the minds of UFC fighters and UFC fans. Ben Askren is one of these guys that is still being talked about because he keeps himself in the news. He's always talking trash on Twitter. Ben Askren is always around. So Ben Askren, I think, is sliding into a spot where if he beats George Masvidal next week at UFC 239, he's going to get the fight with Kamaru Usman. I think Colby Covington has annoyed Dana White a little bit. There was a time when he approached him with a video with his cell phone, asking him about a title shot when Dana was in a casino gambling. Like, this was Dana's private time, and Colby walks in with a video, and Dana's like, turn that off. Turn the camera off. Like, Dana's mad. So I think that may have something to do with it, because that was not a smart move there from Covington. Some of the trash talking maybe, but also the fact that he's been inactive for a year. Like, you really want to give this guy a title shot. So I think if Ben Askren beats George Masvidal, he might get the next title shot against Usman.
Askren is the latest flavor. He just signed, got a win against Robbie Lawler. Now if he beats Masvidal, of course he's going to get a title shot.
And I think maybe if Masvidal beats Askren, he might get the title shot too. So now Colby Covington finds himself on the outside looking in. If he beats Robbie Lawler on August 3rd, maybe he'll get a title shot. Maybe he won't, but that is the fight. We all thought it was going to be Covington versus Usman. That seemed like the deal. And then the UFC pulls a little switcheroo this week and says, yeah, not so fast. Ben Askren was lobbying for this. He was like, I should get the shot instead of Covington. If I beat Masvidal, I think the UFC is going to give me the shot. And then all of a sudden, hey, Covington gets booked with a Robbie Lawler fight, and Askren's like, told you so. Askren's really angled himself very nicely, very well played by Ben Askren, and now Covington's got himself a super tough fight with the former champion, Robbie Lawler, so good luck with that, Colby.
Yeah, but it's still
not
money.
An unwinnable fight. He could win,
sure,
but he could lose, and it's not the title fight, so these things happen in the UFC.
Look, if he loses to Lawler, I guess that shot won't happen right away, but if he does beat Lawler, it could be an interesting setup for Askren as well. So that'll be an interesting fight to see in the future. But in the end, when it comes down to it, Colby needs money like everyone else. He hasn't fought since UFC 225. It's only normal. He either takes it or he doesn't. He's got no choice. And I like him. He gets wild and crazy. I mean, he's brought out some really good videos, which we posted on Ringside Report, which we got I think over 15,000 views because of him. So thanks to Colby on that. But You know what? He's got to fight. He needs the money. It's normal.
All right, AJ. You know what else is normal? Us being overtime. We're like overtime every week. We're overtime again. We've got a run. We got a run here on the radio side. If you are listening to this show on TSN 690 or listening to the podcast, you can check out an extended version of this show on YouTube at youtube.com/ringsidereport.net. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, and click the little bell when you subscribe so you get alerts every time that we have new content on the channel. A big thanks to Marco back at TSN 690 for helping us out.
Way to go, Marco.
And a big thanks to you for listening and watching. For AJ and Fred, I'm Dave, and this has been Ringside Report. And we're back. We're still here, guys. This is the Ringside Report official post show. We are not done. And we got some solid comments from out in Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. I love Oklahoma.
Which, like, Boomer Sooner out there
Go
at Oklahoma.
Sooners.
Boomer Sooner.
Not a big Skip Bayless fan.
I don't know much about Oklahoma, but I know Jim Ross, and I love him very much. So Boomer Sooner, that's all I know. You know that song? You know what I'm talking about?
Dr. Death.
No, it's the Boomer Sooner song. Jim Ross's theme song. You know what I'm saying?
I was going to say something else completely.
Anyways,
since we were on the Park Safari theme before.
So Jake McDonald from out in Oklahoma left us some nice comments on the YouTube video. He says, Aljo just fought. Yan hasn't been in the UFC for a year. Much respect, but I think you guys are off on this one. And, that's cool. Like, MMA fans, we disagree, and that's fine. But, like, look at what Peter Yan has done. He's won 5 straight in the UFC. He's 13-1.
I still prefer Sterling. I said it a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, but
I
he's
think
an exciting fighter.
But Peter
Sterling's
Yan
a bigger name.
Peter Yan has beat John Dodson and Jimmy Rivera in back-to-back fights. Those are tough guys.
Peter who?
Peter Yan.
It's Petar.
It doesn't
it's
matter.
Peter.
It's Petar.
Petar?
Isn't he Russian?
Yeah, he is Russian.
Petar?
Yeah.
Isn't that like what's a petar? It's like a...
Le pétanque in French.
Pétanque is scallop. Petar is
sorry.
like a cap, like cap guns.
No, Petar is like those thing that...
Like
firecracker.
Un fusil à pétard. Like a cap gun.
Yeah, it's like a fire. A Petar is a
Like
firecracker.
the guys listening out in Oklahoma,
Yeah, it's French we're talking. We're talking French right now.
Don't ask me. We're French.
But
Rogan
look,
doesn't speak French, but we do.
Aljamain Sterling, right? You guys
Tell
want to
me.
make him number 1 contender. He's lost in the UFC.
So what? He's a personality. He brings
Yeah,
it.
but he lost to Marlon Moraes. He lost to Rafael Assunção. He lost to Brian Caraway. Peter Yan, Petar Yan, whatever his name is, he hasn't lost to any of these guys. And I understand he's only been in the UFC for a year. But like I said, flavor of the month. Ben Askren's been in the UFC for 1 fight, and he's probably going to get a title shot next.
Yeah,
Whatever.
but he's marketable, and he markets himself. So you got that's. What
I think
keep saying.
Aljamain Sterling is more marketable than Petar Yan.
Well, you never know. If
Aljamain's got a cool haircut and nice chains.
Yeah, but Petter has a cool name. Petter Yan.
Aljamain is a cooler name.
Sterling.
All right, I'll give it to you. Give Aljamain the next title shot. I don't really give a shit. Like, it doesn't matter.
but I'm gonna tell you
know what I
something.
mean?
No,
like,
you do.
I don't care. Like, if it was Henry Cejudo versus Aljamain or Henry Cejudo versus Petar, I'd be like, yeah, whatever. But honestly, though, I think Petar has a better chance of beating Cejudo than Aljamain does. Like, I don't believe in Aljamain Sterling beating Henry Cejudo. I think Henry whoops that ass.
Whoa.
And I think Petar Yan gives him more trouble.
I
guys
agree.
disagree?
I agree with you. I
Look,
agree
in
with
the
you,
end,
Dave.
Cejudo, if he's out for 6 to 8 months, let's just do Sterling against Yan for a number 1 contender.
There,
so
there you go.
I'll agree with you on that one.
Oh, he says he's not from Oklahoma?
Where are you
he
from?
lives in Oklahoma.
Where's
he
he
says
from?
Oklahoma's terrible, but he's from
What?
New York City.
New York.
Man,
Yeah, Yankees.
That's a totally different. Yeah, go Yanks. I hope you're a Yankee fan.
Or you could be a Mets fan.
That's fine too.
Go Knicks.
You can't do that,
Yeah.
Dave. It's either one or the
Look,
other.
I like New York, and I don't know about. I've been to New York City a couple times, and I like it a lot.
I love New York.
It's a great town. I've never been to Oklahoma, and I really don't know why I would go to Oklahoma.
Hey,
So
listen.
I mean,
Ask him why he's in Oklahoma.
I don't. Look, it's fine. It's not an interview show with YouTube people.
Come
That's
on.
not how this show
I want
works,
to know what's
AJ.
happening in Oklahoma.
But one comment that he did drop about Oklahoma, he says he lives in Oklahoma and he trains at Lovato's gym.
Oh, yeah. Lovato, man.
And
That's
he
the
said
guy.
people in the gym didn't even know how to watch the fucking fight.
That's terrible. Does that make any
that's
sense?
what I'm saying.
That's a terrible.
Come on.
You know, you've got 2 top names
Bellator.
in MMA, BJJ, whatever, and people can't get to these fights. How does Bellator? This is the thing with Bellator. I know that they're with DAZN and all this kind of stuff. The UFC didn't do a great job in the beginning, anyways, with this whole ESPN.
This
app.
wasn't even on DAZN. It was on the Bellator app. I had to download the app.
You
I
know-
didn't have the
you
Bellator
know what the
app.
problem with these guys?
Hey, Fred, do you have the Bellator app on your phone or tablet? Do you have the Bellator
No.
app on the phone or tablet? I had to download it. I have it now on my phone. Okay?
And how much are you paying for that?
No, it's free. No,
You
it's
saw-
free.
Yeah.
All you had to do was download the Bellator app and be in the know enough to know that the fight was at like 2 p.m. Eastern time on a Saturday afternoon. Beautiful Saturday. Who's watching the Bellator app?
You know what? That's
Bellator app. Look, I have it on my phone.
So,
it's
like,
loading.
technically
It's
we should
taken
be
forever
like,
to
we
load.
should have it considering we're an MMA show. But the thing is that maybe
I think you can watch it again.
Maybe Bellator and UFC and all these guys should start promoting on our network so we can push that stuff out. Because the truth of the matter is that their marketing is not that great. It's great for the fighters. It's great for all that. But when it's coming to the technology part, there's something wrong. I mean,
Well, it's
like
just
we were
too
talking about
spread out.
Brendan Schaub before and like his frustrations of seeing that fight. I forgot who it was now. Who was on that card? I think it was it Askren fight?
I don't know.
I don't know. Regardless, there should be no reason that a major sporting event, you have to work to see it. You don't have
Hey,
to
you
work.
could
We
watch
shouldn't
it
be
on the app.
working.
You could actually watch the fight on the app, though. So that's something.
Yeah, but it
like at
depends.
least you could watch it for free on a replay. Like
Yeah, but
here,
see if
you guys didn't see the full fight. We have it right here. Like I don't think I could show this on
But-
YouTube maybe for a second, but
you
this
go.
is the fight right here on the app. Like you can watch it.
Yeah, but that's not cool. I mean, the guy's training at the gym and like his own guys can't see it. I
Yeah,
mean,
but that's the thing. Bellator
that
made it
sucks.
so difficult. Like they had their Bellator show on the Paramount Network at night, so I set that to record on my PVR. I figured that's when the Mousasi fight would air. No, that's not when the Mousasi fight would air. The Mousasi fight aired on the app in the afternoon, and so did the Melvin Manhoef fight. Like that's the thing. If you're training at Lovato's gym in Oklahoma and you don't even know when Lovato is fighting Mousasi, like. There's a problem there with Bellator's marketing for this thing. They're on DAZN, they're on Paramount, they're on their own app. Like, what are you trying to push here, Bellator? Explain to me where to find your fights. Like, it's harder to watch Bellator than it is to watch the UFC. And when you're the second brand, when you're not the name brand in MMA in the United States, you need to be way more accessible or you're never going to work, Bellator.
No,
like,
exactly.
the money you spent on Gegard Mousasi and Rafael Lovato for that fight was not well spent because nobody saw the fight. You didn't make your return on investment because your marketing was garbage.
But that's what doesn't make sense. I mean, you had Rory McDonald fighting not too long ago, like just before this fight. That's the platform you should start promoting and marketing where to see the next fights. You had Rory McDonald, man. You had Gracie. You had, like, it doesn't make sense. Bellator might be the second, but the truth of the matter is they have amazing, amazing fighters and amazing cards.
Of course.
You know,
They got
it doesn't
Lovato
make
and
sense.
Gegard. I mean, that fight was awesome.
We saw
Bellator,
Chael Sonnen fighting. I mean,
Well-
it doesn't make any sense. But like, you're seeing this fight. This is when you promote it. They should be promoting their stuff even on our show. So if Bellator is listening, and I know you guys are listening, I know Dana White's listening, because every time we ask for a card, we get it.
is he pitching Bellator right now?
Well, yeah,
What
man.
are you doing? What's
First,
going on?
I'm pitching all of them.
You want to talk about your big news?
Which one?
Oh, I guess we won't.
The one that I got hurt on?
So our man out in Oklahoma says he teaches at OU, so he's a teacher at a university,
Respect.
and he's a Yankee fan, which like double respect because I'm a big Yankee fan. Why are you giving thumbs up? You don't care about the Yankees.
I care about the Yankees since
Yeah?
the Expos left.
Did they win yesterday?
I don't care. Because they're not the Expos.
I care. They won.
I care about the Yankees.
They completed.
I don't care.
They completed the sweep of the Blue Jays.
That's not cool.
The Yankees remain in first place because the Yankees are the best.
You
They're
know-
in England right now. They're about to play in England
In
against
England?
against the Red Sox.
Who the heck is going to go see that?
I have no
we should
idea
call Wally to
what
see if
time-
he knows that.
I don't know what time those games are gonna be at, but like they're playing baseball in
the
London.
afternoon here.
Yeah, when are those games? This weekend, I guess. 1:10 p.m. Tanaka and Porcello, Yankees Red Sox in London Stadium in London.
You know what's funny?
I saw pictures of like Aaron Judge and CC Sabathia traveling to London and stuff. It's cool.
I like to see the attendance.
Yeah, I wonder
much-
how that'll
yeah.
work. Like,
I don't know.
you know?
It's like the NFL when they went over to England. They actually did pretty well.
Yeah, well, the MLB's trying it, regular season games. I think it's kind of unfair that the Yankees have to travel mid-season to England. Like,
It's tough,
How come
man.
the Yankees have to do that? Like, who cares for the Red Sox? They're a bum team. They're, they're in, third place? How many games back are they right now? 9 games back of the Yankees. How does that feel? Excellent. If you're a real Yankee fan, you love how that sounds.
Well,
the
the
Yankees...
Red Sox feel like the defending champs. That's
Yeah,
what they feel
there
like.
you go.
Yeah, how many rings? How many rings?
Ooh, that's a good one, Fred.
How many
Ooh.
rings? Here comes 27 this year,
In the
baby.
last 10 years, a lot more.
Yeah. Ooh, again. Wow, it's a jab and a Ngannou knockout. here.
Baseball is not it's not a race. It's a marathon, and the Yankees win the marathon. Okay, the Yankees
Yeah, but
right
you-
now.
no,
How
hold
many
on a
rings
sec.
do you remember? The 90s, you were
Listen,
like
it's-
13.
No, I remember those.
No,
I
Fred,
remember
I'm gonna tell
all
you
of
something.
them.
I'm going to tell you, it's like
Well,
the
not
Canadians.
all of them, but all of them in my lifetime. I remember the Yankees right now are 6.5 games up on the Tampa Rays, soon to be the Montreal Rays, And
Montreal Rays.
the Boston Red Sox are 9 games back of the Yankees. Are playing .500 baseball. They are bums. So it doesn't matter if they go to London. Their season's already tanked. The Yankees, we've got to worry about Houston in the playoffs, and you're sending our boys all the way to London, Manfred. Don't forget who pays the bills in Major League Baseball. Don't forget who sells merch and TV. It's the Yankees.
Yeah.
You better bow down and kiss all the rings.
Whoa. But you're not going to have the Queen watching the baseball game in the States, but she'll
Why
do
not?
it over there. The Queen, man.
Reggie
Come on.
Jackson might go to kill her.
What?
All right.
What the heck is that all about? Are we allowed to say this kind of stuff?
Don't you remember Naked Gun 1?
Oh, yeah. That was the... Yeah. I was
Okay.
getting nervous there for a
So we're
second.
not going to get to the big AJ news this week on the show.
What?
We'll get to it later,
what?
right? We're just going to keep... It's a deep tease what I'm doing, AJ. See?
Like BJ Penn at
It's
the strip
just like...
joint.
I'm just... not that kind of tease. It's other... No, not that news. The other news. Not your new career, but like your other news. We're not going to get to that. Don't worry.
Are you talking
Oh, that
about
wasn't your
controversy?
career? Aren't you the jiu-jitsu guy? Oh, that wasn't you.
don't
That wasn't
say-
you. That
no,
was
no.
another guy. Oh, I thought that was AJ
You
in
can't
those
say
pictures.
that,
Oh,
Dave.
okay. Okay, we'll wrap the show
That's
up.
controversial news.
I can't say that, so I won't say that. We'll wrap it up. Thanks for watching,
Remember,
everybody.
Rear Naked Chicken.
I'll be back here tomorrow night, 8:30 for Dave and Johnny Live. We're going to talk about AEW's Fighter Fest. Tomorrow is the preview show on Dave and Johnny Live, 8:30 p.m. right here on the YouTube channel. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click that little bell so you get an alert when
Is it a
Dave
game there
and
or
Johnny
what?
go live.
A&W, I love it. Best burgers.
AEW.
Oh, sorry.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching.